All right, we're now ready to assemble the door and panel. And what you're going to notice, and I've just laid them out here to demonstrate, is the door, with the one with the hole, which is for the lock, is exactly the same size as the panel. And this is a design on purpose so that you can interchange the door or the panel even after construction if you prefer to have the door on the front or the door on the back. So we'll start with the front panel. In this case, our door will be on the back, and you'll see how we assemble the panel. All right, here we are with the panel and the front of the box. What we're going to do is just insert the pins at the bottom into the holes at the bottom and get that lined up. It just drops in quite simply. And then all you do is you press the pin down on either side and it clicks into place. And that is done. I have now assembled the door assembly ready for putting the lock in place. Just grabbing out the door lock, the large nut, the arm and the small nut, and of course the two keys as we are ready to lock it. We'll get started with essentially the lock itself, and I'll demonstrate how that works. All right, I've got the door, just put it on my knee here, and essentially one thing I want to point out, you can see the spring pin that's at the top. That'll actually help you in the assembly to the box. You take your lock and you just slide it inside. We flip it over, and then we'll put the large nut on here to secure. Okay, so once that's in place, you take your locking arm and your smaller nut, and we'll just place that over the lock and click it into place so it doesn't move too much. It'll have a little bit of give in it, and then we place the nut on there and tighten that up. Right, finally just pop the keys in and test that you can turn the lock with the key, and you're very much done. Okay, to assemble the door to the back of the box, you need your little pin here that has two sides and a rigid middle. That is going to go into this hole, just like that. It just sits in there. You're going to place the door over the top of that and into the hole. And as we did with the front panel, just line up your pin to its corresponding hole and click it in place. And it's done. And you've got your keys in there. You can turn the lock either way, and you're now completed that construction. Right, we're now going to assemble the rods and this to the interior frame, and this is the one which has two small spring pins, and it's got a couple of holes at the top end there. So I normally do this just sitting down, resting that on my knees, and I grab the rod, and we're going to assemble the rod on the outside of the flap, and with the small screw and nut. Now what you're going to notice is when you put the nut on, it gets tight very quickly, very difficult to screw up, and that's its self-locking mechanism. So to make sure you can do this easily, I just use a pair of pliers to hold the nut on one end, and then I'll use my drill to screw up and tighten the mechanism. As you can see, I've done actually both sides, so all we have to do is tighten the nuts. Now, when you do this, you do want this to be fairly rigid, so you can move it, but it's not going to fall. There's a reason for that, because it'll make life much easier when we're connecting it to the parcel flap at the front. Right. So one other thing that I probably failed to mention is having a good light. The reason for it is now that you are ready to insert the parcel security flap, that's the small one that we've just put together. And it also has spring-loaded pins which go into the holes of the notches that you can see either side at the back. Obviously a light will help you because the box is now fairly well covered, so it's going to be a little tough to see those holes. But they're there, and all you need to do is click in the flap, and we're ready to move to the next stage. Okay, so now we're going to connect this parcel guide to the inside of the parcel flap. As you can see, I've turned the flap over, so just resting it on my knees there. The guide itself has 6 little slots, 2 on either side and 2 at the base. And so what we're going to do is line them up with the tags that are sitting inside the parcel flap. Now you'll notice that I've already tilted them up slightly. This always seems to help me just get the flap into position easily. And once it's in position, we're going to lock those tags downward and in place. Please be careful in this process because the tags are sharp and can inflict a nasty wound if allowed. Now, once you've got these tags through the slots, what we need to do is to push them down. You'll notice that they're pretty hard to do just with your fingers. So I use the back of my screwdriver just to push that down and push it into place. So here's the next one, and the back, and just make sure it's nice and tight up against the side so it doesn't offer any problems. And we're done. Okay, so now what we're going to do is connect our parcel flap to the framework of the box. Notice it's got a couple of pins on either side, same as the rest of the framework, and we'll connect that into the holes at the bottom of either side on the frame. So again, just lining those up and clicking them into place. Okay. Now, to connect the parcel flap to the security flap at the bottom that we connected internally, you need to grab your rods and bring those through to the outside of the parcel guide itself. When you've done that, you need to grab your large nut and through. Let me just get that. Can you just cut? Okay, so now what we've got is our large screw and a washer that's going to go through the panel on that side. There we go. And keep the thread facing outwards. That's very important. We'll put another washer on there. This just makes it easy to move. And the rod through it, and the self-tapping nut on the end. So again, I'm just tightening that to where I can tighten it with my fingers, and I will now tighten it with the screwdriver and pliers. All right, so just repeat the procedure on the other side, and just tighten up with your drill and pliers, and that's it. Right, now we've assembled these large bolts on the outside of the flap and the guide. What you need to do is just move them gently inwards so that they clear the framework. Let them pop out again so that you can now close or open the parcel flap. You'll notice that the security flap comes upwards. So this is to stop people from reaching in and taking parcels. Thank you, it's all done.